US has joined Israel's war against Iran after it bombed three key Iranian nuclear facilities, Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan. Now, West Asia is now on the brink of an all-out war as Iran mulls its options to retaliate. What will the American strikes mean for the region, and what will an Iranian response look like? Well, we spoke to a whole host of experts to understand what's next, and this is what they had to say. Listen in.
Attacks themselves make little sense in the absence of a broader, more comprehensive strategy to bring the war to an end. If they're just an attack to destroy or damage Iran's nuclear facilities, then there would be little point because Iran can simply rebuild. And then the option would be to attack them again and again and repeat the process again and again as necessary. In the past, Iranian retaliation has looked like attacks on U.S. bases in the Middle East, U.S. forces in the region, and it is involved using proxies such as the Houthis, such as Hezbollah, some of the other groups that take their orders from Tehran. I would expect that Iran's initial reaction would be very strongly negative, that they will try to respond militarily through what means are available, through ballistic missiles, through drone attacks and what proxies they have, and through the state-sponsored terrorism tools that they have at their disposal.
They do still have a number of ballistic missiles and cruise missiles. They have a number of terror proxies throughout the Middle East. They can conduct assassinations. They can attack bases with rockets and missiles from the local militia. And so I expect that we will see an escalation from Iran in the coming days. However, all of those capabilities are still a small fragment of what they used to be, and their ability to inflict wide-scale major damage is quite limited at that point. So at this point, they are going to probably attack with everything that they have. I just don't anticipate that we'll see mass casualties on the Israeli or American side at this point. But I do expect to see some attacks on U.S. bases, particularly in Iraq, but perhaps as well other places in the Arabian Gulf. I don't think the Supreme Leader Khamenei is going to make any agreement. He has spent his entire career fighting the West, fighting the United States. For him, any negotiation at this point would be tantamount to both tactical surrender, but also ideological, maybe even blasphemy, because it would be abandoning the entire ideological project that he and his predecessor, the first Ayatollah Khamenei, erected when they set up the Islamic Republic of Iran. And so I think the issue is how the Iranian elite and how the other rank and file within the regime are going to respond. If they sense that they have a leader who's taking them down a path that will only lead to their destruction, I think you will start to see splits in the regime. You'll see discontent emerge publicly, and you'll start seeing the Iranian people themselves perhaps take to the streets.
It's almost certain that Iran will respond and respond strongly. And they've got a lot of capabilities in the region. They can shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which will affect 25% of the world's oil and gas shipments. They can use their proxies or their short-range missiles to attack U.S. bases in Iraq. They can hit U.S. troops in Syria. The Houthis can start firing again. Hezbollah has been diminished, but it is not totally destroyed. There's a lot of things they can do. They can pull out of the non-proliferation treaty. They can throw out the inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency. And what they most likely will do, even if there is regime change, is they will most likely develop a covert program to build an atomic bomb. They've been set back, but there's no way to get rid of the knowledge that they've developed about how to do this. And so it might take a little longer, might take a couple extra years, but it becomes that much more likely now that Iran will develop its own atomic bombs. They can set the Iranian program back for years, but in doing so, they give Iran greater incentive than ever to go forward with the nuclear program in developing a bomb, which now they weren't doing. I mean, that's why if Trump was honest and competent, then we could have achieved that goal without U.S. sending, attacking. Iran desperately wanted a deal in which it was happy to give up its enriched uranium. It was going to ship out the 60% enriched uranium, the 20% enriched uranium, go down to a very limited amount, and then so that it could use for its nuclear energy program and then some of its research reactors. It was more than willing to do that if Trump was willing to negotiate honestly. But as soon as he says zero enrichment, then that's not going to happen.